Hare Krishna. Welcome to the daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Shri Radha Kalachanjidam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Not so fast Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We can do the prayers together. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati. No, no. We do the translation. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadev, the author. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. You have 2 minutes to leave if you don't want something that's irrevocable. But if you want something that's irrevocable, probably the next 40 minutes might give that to you while reading Srimad Bhagavatam. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते. तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Okay, we're continuing with our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 3. We are on chapter 23. And the verses for today are text 40, 46. Not 46. We did till 48. This is 49. If we did, we have to start from 49. 49 through 56. We're going to complete the chapter. Yeah, 49. Okay, so we'll read the translations for 49 through 57, and the focus verse for today's text 56. So we'll come back to the Sanskrit and then we'll read the purport. So let's start with text 49.
When she saw her husband about to leave home, she smiled externally, but at heart she was agitated and distressed.
Who is the she and who is the husband? Kardama Muni. And he's about to leave home. Why? Do you remember? Why? Yeah. So when Swayambhu Manu came to his hermitage to give him his daughter Devahuti, Kardama Muni had one condition, that I can marry your wife, but when I give her children, I'm gonna go. And Kardama Muni, we read in the previous verse, gave Devahuti 9 daughters. So then this was his deal, right? Okay, now you have children, now I'm going to go. Because Kardama Muni, this is an incredible chapter for Grihasthas, the entire section of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Kardama Muni was ordered by Lord Brahma to make more children. Basically, he is a Prajapati. These are progenitors, they're called, who are bringing about so many living bodies for living entities. Who the material world is created, and now we need so many bodies so that the living entities can take those bodies. Now these progenitors or these Prajapatis do this job for Lord Brahma. So Kardama Muni was ordered by Brahma to say, "Oh, you have to get married and beget children." But he didn't directly do it, right? He didn't go searching for a wife directly after the order. What was he doing? What did he do immediately after getting the orders? Yeah, meditate for 10,000 years. He meditated for 10,000 years and directly had Krishna's darshan. Kardama Muni directly had Krishna's darshan and said, "Okay, you want to get married, get married." But Krishna told him that although you are in this Grihastha you'll never be touched by Maya. And in the previous section, we read how incredibly Devahuti and Kardama Muni enjoyed their married life, right? But still, at the moment, when the moment came, Kardama Muni was ready. Okay, I'm done. This is what we agreed to, because this is the ultimate purpose of life, is not to enjoy life in big aerial mansions with so many maidservants. Yeah? They had a pretty amazing grihastha life, right? But then he was not consumed by it. He was not consumed. When the time came, he was going to leave, and that's basically where we are right now. That's the situation. Kadamuni is leaving. Externally, Devahuti seems okay, but she's really not okay. We'll see why. Okay, next text.
She stood and scratched the ground with her foot, which was radiant with the luster of her gem-like nails. Her head bent down, she spoke in slow yet charming accents, suppressing her tears.
Sri Devavati said, "My lord, you have fulfilled all the promise you gave me. Yet because I'm your surrendered soul, you should give me fearlessness too."
She was really surrendered, Devahuti. As soon as she got married, she was serving Kardamuni so much. Do you know what the Bhagavatam describes how she looked? Hmm? Yeah, she had matted hair. She was emaciated. That's basically how she was, like very thin and yeah, covered in dirt. But she was a princess, right? This was not just an ordinary princess. Whose daughter was she? Swayambhuva Manu. And who was Swayambhuva Manu? The emperor of the earth, not just a king of a tiny kingdom. Swayambhuva Manu ruled over the entire earth, right? And this was his daughter. And look at the status of life that she might have had. And yet, she was incredibly subservient in serving Kardama Muni, not because he was just his husband, but because Kardama Muni was an exalted devotee of the Lord. Somebody who has actually directly seen Krishna is not a very ordinary person. Okay, let's continue.
My dear Brahmana, as far as your daughters are concerned, they'll find their own suitable husbands and go away to their respective homes. But who will give me the solace after your departure as a sannyasi?
Mm.
Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord.
Not knowing your transcendental situation. Not knowing your transcendental situation of I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects
Of the senses.
not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear.
Mhm.
Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage, but the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge.
Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing.
The last verse.
My lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation.
Mm. You know who Devahuti was? I mean, we've said she was the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, but what was her own identity that Bhagavatam describes? The identity that we have described so far was she's Kardama Muni's wife, she's Swayambhuva Manu's daughter, like that. But how does Bhagavatam describe her own identity? Does anybody remember? Yeah, she was not an ordinary person. Just as Kardama Muni was a really exalted devotee of the Lord, Devahuti was no less a person. She was a mystic yogi who was completely in an advanced stage of these eightfold mystic systems Srimad Bhagavatam describes. And yet, even for her, it's very hard. When the illusory potency of the Lord hits you, it's very hard to escape. You know, this is her lamentation. This chapter of the title of the chapter is Devahuti's lamentation. That's what she's lamenting. She's been with Kardama Muni for many, many hundreds of years. And this is no ordinary person that she's been with. And she herself is not an ordinary person, right? And yet, she's been consumed so much by these sense gratificatory activities that the many years that they've spent together, she's lamenting that she really didn't utilize what she had with her. This, and she's saying that association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage, right? This is basically what she was endeavoring for. She was serving Kardamuni very nicely, but when the chance came for her to request Kardamuni, she wanted a life like everybody else. I wanted a proper married life. I want children for myself, and that's basically what she was going for. And that Kardamuni completely satisfied her in all those respects. But when Kardamuni is about to leave home, she realizes what she's missed, what she's had throughout her life, and what she's actually missed. You know. So we'll go back to text 56. open the Sanskrit and we'll see what Prabhupada is saying. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kalpate natirtha pada sevaya जीवन अपिमृतो हि सः नेहयत् कर्म धर्माय न विरागाय कल्पते न तीर्थपद सेवाय जीवन अपिमृतो हि सः. We want to chant? नेहयत् कर्म धर्माय विरागाय कल्पते जीवन अपिमृतो हि सः. नेहयत् कर्म धर्माय न विरागाय कल्पते न तीर्थपद सेवाय जीवन अपिमृतो हि सः. माताजी, नेहयत् कर्म धर्माय न तीर्थपद सेवाय जीवन अपिमृतो हि सः. नेहयत् कर्म धर्माय न विरागाय कल्पते न तीर्थपद सेवाय जीवन अपिमृतो हि सः. नेहयत् कर्म धर्माय न विरागाय कल्पते न तीर्थपद सेवाय जीवन अपिमृतो हि सः. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is the word for word translation. Na, not. Iha, here. Yat, which. Karma, work. Dharmaya, for perfection of religious life. Na, not. Viraghaya, for detachment. Kalpate, leads. Na, not. Tirthapada, of the Lord's lotus feet. Sevayai, of to devotional service. Jivan, living. Api, although. Mritaha, dead. He, indeed. Saha, he. Translation. Anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious, ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Can somebody read the purport? You have the mic? You want to read the purport? Or the next person?
Devahuti's statement is that since she was attached to living with her husband for sense gratification, which does not lead to liberation from material entanglement, her life was simply a waste of time. Any work one performs that does not lead to the state of religious life is useless activity. Everyone is by nature inclined to some sort of work, and when that work leads one to religious life, and religious life leads one to renunciation, and renunciation leads one to devotional service, one attains the perfection of work. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, any work that does not lead ultimately to the standard of devotional service is a cause of bondage in the material world. Karma no nyatra loko yam karma bandhana Unless one is gradually elevated to the position of devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, he is to be considered a dead body. Work which does not lead one to the understanding of Krishna consciousness is considered useless.
So this was Devahuti's position. And Prabhupada describes her position in the first line. Right? Since she was attached to living with her husband for sense gratification, her life was simply a waste of time. So they really enjoyed their life, right? So they had incredible uh, riches, they had incredible facility, but everything that they had is practically useless. Why? It's temporary in nature. What else? Yes. So what's the problem? It wasn't reading up to devotional service. Therefore, what happens? That's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. Yeah, Prabhupada is saying yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanat. This is Krishna in the Gita. He says work done, if not as a sacrifice to Vishnu, only causes bondage. So all of us, this is Krishna's premise to Arjuna. In the battlefield of Bhagavad Gita, Kurukshetra, Arjuna wants to run away. He said, I don't want to fight. I just want to be by myself. I don't want to act. That's basically what Arjuna is saying. But what does Krishna say? That, okay, it's fine? No, he doesn't say it. He doesn't say, yeah, he says get to work. Why does he say get to work? Why is this? He could have easily said, okay, that's fine. As friends come, right? Krishna and Arjuna were really close friends. And when our close friends come and say, oh, I'm so sad, it's happened to me, we say, oh, that's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It'll be okay. But Krishna doesn't say that. Because of a very specific thing that Arjuna asked him also. He says, Yat shreyasya nishchitam bruhitam. You have shreyas and you have preyas, right? Preyas means something that you do in the short term that's really enjoyable. But in the long term, that activity is not going to bring you any benefit. But Arjuna is not asking that to Krishna. He says, Yat shreyasya nishchitam. Tell me for sure what is good for me in the long term, Krishna. So that is Shreyas. No? So Krishna would have said, okay, Arjuna, that's fine. You're my friend. You don't have to do it. But Arjuna is specifically asking him, tell me what's good for me. Okay, so Krishna says, you have to act, right? Why does Krishna say that? Yeah?
Because without activity, one cannot remain for a single moment.
Correct. This is basically Krishna's point, is that none of us can remain inactive. That we can try and try and try, and we can never remain inactive. And for a person who is not acting and tries to remain inactive, what does Krishna call that person in the Gita? Does anybody remember? He calls him a pretender. Because our mind is continuously active. I'm trying to not do any work and just be, but then my mind is constantly thinking about this and that and that, and we're trying to pretend on the outside, right? Because that's the very nature of the soul, is that the very nature of the soul it has to act. Okay, now we have established that it has to act, but if I act, then it causes bondage. Yajnartat karmano yatra. If I don't act as a sacrifice to Vishnu, it causes bondage, right? Therefore, the answer is, how should I work? How should I work is I have to work as a sacrifice to Krishna. Everything that I do should be done as a sacrifice to Krishna. So, Grihastha is not bad. You don't have to leave home like Kardama Muni does, physically speaking at least, right? But the mentality should be that everything that I'm doing in that Grihastha is so that it is a sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna. It is not so that I can gain something from my wife, or the wife thinks, oh, I'm going to gain something from the husband. It is not so that we are mutually giving each other sense gratification. That's not really the purpose of Grihastha. The purpose of Grihastha is so that we can support each other, both the husband and wife, so that the work that they do in raising the children, or basically everything that entails being in a family, it's a lot of work. It's not really easy. For people who have children, they will know that it's not a very easy thing to raise children. But if that work is done so that I'm expecting that these children will give me something in return, or the wife that I'm marrying is so that the wife will do so many things for me, or the wife is thinking, oh, the husband is going to buy me so many things or get me so many things, basically for sense gratification, it's Basically, what Devahuti is saying is such people must be considered dead people. Because it's not really progressing their life, it's only binding them again and again and again in the cycle of birth, death, disease, old age, birth, death, disease, old age. So, how should work be done? Work should be done. Here, Devahuti gives us a hierarchy or a chronology of the different levels on which we do things, right? So, what is work meant to do? When we do any activity, what is it? What does that work result in? What should that work result in? Ultimately, ultimately, that work should result in devotional service. But the progression of that Devahuti is saying is that you should at least elevate him to religious life. Okay, doing some activity, don't just do activities that are completely prohibited by the Vedic framework. And this is called vikarma. Krishna goes about this. Karma, akarma, and vikarma. Krishna speaks about in the Gita. Okay, don't do vikarma. You have to do things that are at least within the principles of religion, right? So work should actually lead you to dharma. And what should dharma lead you to? Yeah, dharma, if you're acting according to the principles of religion, it should actually lead you to renunciation. That is the reason why we are working. Why does it lead to renunciation? Because work will result in knowledge. If work is perfect, that work should actually result in knowledge. And therefore, when we get this knowledge, we think, oh, I've been working and working and working. Okay, I'm working according to religious principles, but I'm doing it for myself, right? I want a big car, I want a big house, I want an incredible status of life. Okay, all that is fine. But over time, we realize that, okay, I'm trying to do all of this to be happy, but this is not really giving me happiness. And then we come to this point of actual knowledge. And at the beginning of that point of knowledge is Athato Brahma Jignasa. We start inquiring, who am I? Why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm actually doing? And the ultimate result of that inquiry should be renunciation. Hmm? So, renunciation could mean one of these two things, right? One kind of renunciation is what we're seeing here uh, that Kardamamani is doing. He's basically renouncing his household life and everything that he has built up over these many thousands of years. And then he's saying, I'm going to go. I'm renouncing everything. Or people try to renounce activity itself. Oh, I'm going to stop working. This is another kind of karma sannyasa, Krishna says in the Gita. But what does Krishna prescribe in the Gita? What kind of renunciation does Krishna say is sustainable? Is, is it sustainable for all of us to just renounce our homes and go to the forest at the times that we live in? No. Hmm? Yeah. This is the perfect kind of sannyas, he says. Sannyas doesn't mean you wear an orange robe and go out. And yet, if you're still trying to cling on to the thing that you really want, that's not really what sannyas is. Externally, it might look, oh, I'm wearing an orange robe and I'm a sannyasi, I'm keeping the danda, going out of the home. But then, if you're still attached to the results of your activities, that's not really what sannyas is. Krishna says this is not. Sannyas doesn't mean you don't start a fire. And what is the other thing he says? He basically says you don't cook or, yeah, you do not work, right? That's basically karma sannyasa. You just give up all activity. No, 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 no. That's not what sannyas is. Krishna says sannyas means, sorry, Jose, sometimes when you raise the hand, I think you're asking a question. But now I realize that, oh, you actually. I know. Peace. Like, and then I have to rewire my mind. Oh, he's hurt his hand. But this Krishna is saying that sannyas doesn't mean that. Sannyas means you do your work. You do your work properly according to the principles of religion, but you sacrifice the results. Yajnartat karmanon yatra. This is what actual sannyas is. You can be a perfect householder. You can live a life like Bhaktivinoda Thakur and have 10 kids, no problem at all. But if you sacrifice the results of your activity to Krishna, then that householder is the perfect sannyasi, rather than a person who is wearing orange robes and holding a danda and not actually practicing what actual renunciation is. Hmm? So ultimately, you're in this renounced situation and said, oh, I figured out that material activities are only giving me pain. I really don't want to really do things for my own sense gratification. But that's not the end of it. What should that lead us to? Yeah, that should actually lead us to devotional service. Just renouncing this from this world is not our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal of this life is attachment to Krishna, not just detachment from this material world. So this is the chronology that Devahuti is giving. Oh, but I've not done this, Kardamani. But you're leaving. My time is so short now. Please don't leave. And she's specifically asking for one quality in all these verses to Kardamani. Does anybody remember what that quality is that she's asking? Fearlessness. She's asking for fearlessness in this verse. And why is that so important? Fearlessness. But the natural state of this world is that we're always fearful. We're always fearful. We're always fearful. Dharmasya hi apavargasya nartartayopakalpate dharmasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hi smrita. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami says this. Dharmasya hi apavargasya. The entire point of performing religious activities or principles of religion is so that you can do apavarga. The pavarga means it's considered compared to the material world. So in Sanskrit, you have papa, baba, ma, cha, cha, ja, jana, ta, ta, da, da, na, like that. Each line is called a varga. So the one that starts with pa is called the pa varga. One which starts with ta is called the ta varga, like that. But specifically, this pa varga, pa, pa, bha, bha, ma, is equated to the material existence itself. And this pa, the first pa, is parishram. Everybody is working so hard in this world, right? Everybody is working from 12-hour days, 16-hour work days, something like that. Nobody is not, like very few people not working. The next one is like the horse. If you overwork a horse, it froths at its mouth. That's all of our situation. We work so hard that we are frothing at our mouth. Bha means uh, frustration. It says, not that's bha. Huh? Ba, we had the ba before. That's vyathartha, Prabhupada says. Vyathartha means frustration. Although you're endeavoring so hard and you're frothing at the mouth, you're not really satisfied. You're very frustrated in life. You're not really happy. Okay, I'm putting so much endeavor, but I'm still not happy about it. I'm not getting the result that I'm expecting. And therefore, it causes bha, which is bhaya, fearfulness. We are constantly in fear. Because I'm working so hard so that I can get something, but why is that fear there? Why is that fear there? Yeah, because it can be taken away from me at any moment. With this constant fear, relationships can go, the things that we have accumulated can go, everything, our reputation can go, everything that we have tried to accumulate for ourselves through incredible endeavor, that where we're frothing at our mouths and although we're frustrated, can actually be taken away. And it's taken away at the end by ma, which is mrityu, death, right? So this very nature of this material world is that we are constantly in fear. That's why you have insurance companies and so many things that we do to try to safeguard, right? But what can give us actual fearlessness? Even having insurances and the security of a home or a security of a job or so many things that we try to somehow eliminate that fearlessness is not eliminating the fearlessness, right? So what can actually give us this fearlessness? Yeah, taking shelter of Krishna. Sarvadharman paridyaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. Krishna says this. Krishna could have just said, "Oh, Arjuna, abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender to me, I'll take care of all your sins." He could have just stopped at that. But he is adding something that's very specific in the context. He said, Ma Sucha. He says, do not fear. This is all of our very natural condition in this world, is that we think, oh, if I leave this, I'm taking shelter of something other than Krishna, that if I leave this, if I abandon it, what will happen to me? What will happen to me? How am I going to sustain? This fear is not just once, but Krishna says this again or before, however you want to look at time, as when he comes as Lord Ramachandra. Sakradeva prapannoyas tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etat ritam mama. Lord Ramachandra says. Sakrit eva prapannoyas. Only once somebody surrenders to me. Not many times. Actually, surrender is a process, not when we actually get the beads and the name. Okay, that's the first step. But it's a moment-to-moment surrender, right? A single point where at this point of time I've surrendered and I'm done. But Lord Ramachandra is so merciful. He says, Sakrit eva prapannoya. Just once somebody says, Tava asmi, that I am yours. He says, Abhayam sarvada tasmai. I give him fearlessness forever. Tadam yeta tutama. This is my promise, Lord Ramachandra says, that I give him this fearlessness. Because only devotional service can give us this fearlessness. And we see this in a 5-year-old boy, in Prahlad Maharaj, in front of Hiranyakashipu, who is terrorizing this entire world, the entire universe, in fact. His raising of the eyebrows is causing incredible panic in even the greatest of demigods who wield incredible power. And yet, in front of him, when Hiranyakashipu is asking Prahlad this question, and he's very angry at this point. This story has built up and built up and built up. He's given Prahlad several chances. The first time he asks is so lovingly, he puts his child on his lap. Tears are flowing from his eyes, the Bhagavatam says. He's so much love for his child and kissing him on his forehead and saying, Oh, my dear child, you've been to this school for such a long time. What have your teachers taught you? What is the best of knowledge? And even at this point, when Hiranyakashipu is asking this question, he is incredibly powerful. Prahlad clearly knows who his father is. And what does Prahlad Maharaj say? What is the best kind of knowledge? He says, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishno, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Marchanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmani Vedram. Iti Pumsar Pita Vishnu, Bhakti Shena Valaksham. He says, Oh my father, this is the best kind of knowledge. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. He's saying this to somebody who is treating Vishnu as his most fiercest enemy. This is the fearlessness that devotional service gives you. And not just that, after this, he's given Prahlad so many chances, and still he's fearless about his conviction, his shelter of Krishna, that he's tried to kill him so many times. He's tried to burn him in fire, tried to trample him with elephants, tried to kill him with poisonous snakes. And even then, Prahlad Maharaj is incredibly fearless. Where is this fearlessness coming from? It is coming from him. And it's built up to this point where Hiranyakashipu is incredibly angry at his son. And he says, Oh, Prahlad, where are you getting this power from? You think you're such a small boy and everybody is fearing me. You have no fear in front of me. Where are you getting this power from? And even at that point, Prahlad is so fearful. He says, Oh, my father, the best of the demons. Think about saying this to somebody who's incredibly angry. He says, Oh, best of the demons. I am getting that power exactly from the place that you are getting it from also. I'm getting it from Krishna. This is fearlessness, right? You see this in Prahlad Maharaj. Fearlessness doesn't mean that you're taking a sword and going and fighting. Okay, that could be one kind of fearlessness. But the fearlessness that the devotees have, we see this in Haridas Thakur also, right? He is being sentenced. This Qazi, who's incredibly powerful, is telling, you're a Mohammedan. You're chanting the names of God that is a Hindu God's name. It's not really appropriate for a Mohammedan to do it. Stop chanting the names of the Lord. Haridas Thakur has no power whatsoever in front of this king. And what is Haridas Thakur saying? Okay, I'm so fearful of this king that he's going to take my life that I'll stop chanting. Is that what Haridas Thakur is saying? No. He says you can do anything that you want, but I cannot stop chanting the holy names of the Lord. This is the fearlessness that is exhibited by the devotees. And what does the Qazi do? He says, you're going to die, but not in any ordinary way. I'm not just going to hang you, but you're going to get beaten up in 22 marketplaces. And then you're going to die. It's a very excruciating death. Anybody who is going to even think about this, think about the fear that it generates in the minds of the people. And what does Haridas Thakur do? It's fine. You can do anything that you want. Yatha tathava vidatha tulampato. This is Haridas Thakur. And I cannot stop chanting the names of my Lord. And then he goes even a step further. This is the devotee. So these men of the Qazi are beating him and beating him and beating him. And Haridas Thakur is not really flinching. They're saying, if you don't die, the Qazi will kill us. Please die. We've tried to hit you. Mahaprabhu is practically protecting Haridas Thakur. That is why nothing is happening to him. Mahaprabhu is getting all the lashes. Krishna is giving abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etatritamo. Krishna is promising the devotee this. And he keeps up with his promise time and time and time again. Right? So he's doing this to Haridas Thakur. And what does the devotee do? Okay, because you should not die, I will die. This is Haridas Thakur. Not because he's fearful that he will leave his body. This is the epitome of a devotee, right? This is para dukkha dukhi. A devotee is so incredibly sad when he sees others to be sad. This is what devotional service gives us. This is what taking shelter of Krishna gives us. This is what all of us are given access to. This is Mahaprabhu's mercy, is that this surrender, Krishna said, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. You first surrender to me, then I will give you fearlessness. But when Krishna came as Mahaprabhu, he didn't expect us to take the first step. He gave this freely to everybody. This incredible devotional service, love of Godhead. He said, okay, for everybody. He opened the storehouse of love and gave it irrespective of whether people had qualifications or not. Krishna was saying, the first qualification, you surrender to me first. But Mahaprabhu was so merciful that he gave this to everybody, right? And I want to talk, I know we're almost time, but today is the appearance of Radha Kunda, right? And who is this Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, who has come in the mood of Srimati Radharani, right? Why? Because Chaitanya Charitamrita says there are external reasons for why Krishna comes as Mahaprabhu and internal reasons for why Krishna comes as Mahaprabhu. The external reason is what we just discussed, is that he wants to freely distribute this love of Godhead to everybody without seeing any qualifications. Man, woman, rich, poor, it doesn't matter which country you're born in, everybody has access to this mercy. But Krishna had another internal reason also on why he wanted to incarnate as Mahaprabhu. He was looking at Radharani. He was saying, how is she so ecstatic just by serving me? I can't understand how she is so ecstatic by serving me. And the attitude of Radharani is what Mahaprabhu says in the last verse of Tiksashtakam, right? Aslishya va padaratam pinashtuma madarshanan marmahatam karotuva yatha tathava vidadhatu lampato mat prananatastu sayevanaparaha. This is Srimati Radharani. She says, Aslishya va padaratam, you can crush me under your feet, Krishna. Adarshanan marmahatam karato. You can even kill me by not appearing in front of me. Yatha tathava vidadatu lampato. Oh, I know you're a debauchee, Krishna. I know what your character is. But you can do anything that you want. Yatha tathava vidadatu lampato means debauchee. But mat prananatas to sevanapara. You will always be the Lord of my heart. It doesn't matter what you do. This is Srimati Radharani. So she's serving Krishna. This is incredible, unflinching, unalloyed service. Nothing, she expects nothing from Krishna. Everything that she wants to do is to know how she can serve Krishna. How can I make Krishna happy? This is all Srimati Radharani is concerned about. And Krishna wants to experience this. Like, what is Radharani feeling when she's serving me? She's so incredibly happy. So therefore, he takes this mood of Srimati Radharani and comes as his own devotee, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Radharani is so exalted. In the Nectar of Instructions, do you know how many verses are there? 11, right? Rupa Goswami basically churned all the scriptures, which has millions of verses, and then picked 11 verses. He says, this is the nectar of all instruction. So when you pick 11 verses, you're incredibly careful about the things that you're saying because you only have 11 verses. Do you know how many verses in the Nectar of Instruction he talks about Radhakund? 3 verses. 3 verses in the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami dedicates just to Radhakund. Because Radhakund is so exalted. Especially for us, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Radhakund is the ultimate destination. Rupa Goswami says it's incredibly hard even for perfected devotees to achieve Radhakund. Okay, now we have Radhakund. Why is Radhakund so important for us, 5,000 years back, Krishna was there, and you all know this pastime, this Arishtasura. Krishna killed Arishtasura, and therefore Radharani was offended. Oh, you killed a cow, a bull, And it's sinful. You're not acting according to religious principles. So you're very sinful. So we cannot associate with you, Krishna. So Krishna is coming to the gopis, but the gopis are like, no, 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 you're a very sinful person. We cannot associate with you. So then Krishna is asking, what should I do? They said, now you have to take bath in all the holy rivers to take away all your sin. So what does Krishna do? He stamps his feet on the ground and there is a big crate that's formed. And then he basically calls all the holy rivers. And all the holy rivers very happily come and then fill this kund, fill this pond. And then Krishna takes the dip and then he is relieved of all these sins. But Krishna is now talking to Radharani and the gopis. Oh, now you are so sinful. You know why? Because you've taken the side of a demon who has not acted according to religious principles, but you have taken his side. Therefore, you're all sinful. So you have to do the same thing that you asked me to do now. You have to go and relieve yourself of all the sins by taking bath in all the holy rivers. So what do the gopis do? They start making the pond. No, first they have to make the pond to fill it. So they start taking their bangles and then they break their bangles and then they start digging, make this pond. It's taking a long time. They finally make this pond and then they go to Manasi Ganga, which is pretty far away from where Radha Kund is, and they form an incredible queue, and they're passing these pots of water from there and trying to fill the water from Manasi Ganga. And then Krishna sees this, and then all the rivers are begging Krishna, oh, we can't see Radharani go through this, Krishna. Please let us go and fill ourselves in this kunda that she has created for us. So then they pray to Radharani, and then Radharani says, okay, that's fine. Now you can all come. This is Radharani. She wants everybody to serve Krishna. This is her attitude. It's not that I am the greatest devotee, I will serve Krishna. She's thinking, oh, this person is much better than me. If she serves Krishna or he serves Krishna, Krishna will be much happy. So then all the rivers go and form this kunda, and the Radha Kund is formed. Right? And Radha Kund is so dear to Krishna, Rupa Goswami says, that he doesn't differentiate between Srimati Radharani and Radha Kund itself. Krishna syochai pranayavasati prevesvi byopi radha kundam chasya munivirabitas tatrigeva vredai, he says in Nectar of Instruction. Krishna syochai pranayavasati. This Srimati Radharani is so dear to Krishna. Prevesvi byopi radha kundam. Her kunda is as dear to Krishna as Srimati Radharani herself. So Radha Kund is non-different from Srimati Radharani. It's practically like her own body. And somebody who can actually take a dip is completely imbued with this incredible love of Godhead. This will probably be, my spiritual master says, our 4,978th initiation, or something like that. We're progressing and progressing and progressing. And ultimately, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we might, if we are very lucky, be able to serve in Radha Kund. And at that point, we might actually take a dip in Radha Kund and completely reawaken our love for Krishna. And this is no ordinary, because Mahaprabhu specifically found this Radha Kund. 5,000 years back, this Radha Kund was formed when Radha and Krishna were personally present in Govardhan. And then all the pastimes of Radha and Krishna were covered, right? That's why he sent the Goswamis to Vrindavan to rediscover the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But before that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Vrindavan. And then he saw this paddy field, this rice field, Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction. And then he said, there was some water that was there. And he said, this is the place where Shyam Kund and Radha Kund was there. And then he asked them, people of Vrindavan, to excavate these ponds. And then after that, the Goswamis came and developed these two ponds that Mahaprabhu discovered. And that is why it is very dear for us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But no other sampradaya knows this, right? Radha Kund is something. But only the Gaudiya Vaishnavas have access to this. Something that's so exalted, we've been given access to. And when the devotees went to Vrindavan, they would go and play water polo in Radha Kund. They thought this was just like any other water body. This was a pond. It's meant for my enjoyment. But then Prabhupada said, no, you cannot go and take bath in Radha Kund at all. He prohibited, because it would be very offensive. This is Radharani herself, right? And then finally he relented. If you go to Radha Kund, be very, very respectful. This was Prabhupada's instruction for us, because this is not different from Srimati Radharani and it's very dear to Krishna. And therefore be very respectful. pray to Radhakund, pray to Srimati Radharani, and then you can take a dip respectfully in Radhakund. I've heard that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur never stepped on Radhakund because it was Radharani herself. He would basically take water in a lota, a jug, small mug, and then take a bath. But it's fine. We can be very respectful to Radhakund and take a dip there. But ultimately, this is Radhakund in the material world. And when we are so exalted, when we get the mercy of Krishna, then we might actually see Radhakund. And Raghunath Das Goswami describes that Radhakund is a place where the sands are like diamond, and it's so incredibly beautiful that this is a place of pastime of Srimati Radharani and our Shyamasundar. This is such an incredible place. And we might get access to it ultimately one day by the mercy of the Goswamis. So that is Radhakund today. We can pray to Radhakund so that Radhakund can engage us in the service of Krishna very nicely today. It's very merciful, just like Radharani. Radhakund is also very, 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 very merciful, very, very merciful. Today is the appearance of Radhakund, so they're more merciful on appearance days, like Nityanand Prabhu says, right? When you have a birthday, and it's a king. It's giving away so many gifts, freely seen. He's not really picking and choosing people. Everybody who comes to the party, who wishes him, gets a gift. That's Radhakund, the appearance of Radhakund today. So we can pray very nicely so that we can get fixed in our devotional service and serve Kalachanji very nicely here. So we'll stop here if there are any questions or comments or reflections. Yes, Rasraj Prabhu. Prabhu, you want to pass the mic, please?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. A couple of so this whole idea of fearlessness. You did. I mean, I just wanted to make a comment to see if it is actually bona fide. I mean, you said that devotional service leads to fearlessness. Yeah, when I was thinking, and I can't seem to find, but in one sense, I was thinking that without fearlessness, we can't perform devotional service, or rather, there is a lack in how we will perform devotional service, in the sense that we will hold back, in one sense, in our performance. We'll be afraid to say things just because there are repercussions. We'll be afraid to do things because it might not be appropriate. I guess one of the qualities of the Brahmana is fearlessness, and being a Brahmana is a precursor, or rather having the attitude of a Brahmana in that sense is a precursor to becoming a Vaishnava. So not only is devotional service leading to fearlessness, both sides essentially, the performance, but fearlessness is also, in my thinking, a very required element of. Otherwise, we are afraid. What will people think? Yes. If we perform what will what will people think if we are dancing on the streets? What will people think if we are chanting and asking them to chant? What will people think if we are asking them to read the Gita? Or what will people think if I become a devotee? What will my parents think? What will my relatives think? What will my boss think at work? So that was a thought. At the same time, there is, and if your thoughts, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this whole idea of, yes, there is repercussions. Yes, and as an institution, should we be considerate of, let's say there is a war going on. Not that there is any wars going on in the world today, but if there is a war going on, I've heard devotees being very careful about not addressing it. But is that the right attitude, or should we do it? And if we should do it, what is the right way of actually addressing it?
Yeah. So I won't speak for the institution itself because it's a very hard thing. But I will speak on the fearlessness. What you're saying is absolutely true. For us to even perform devotional service, there needs to be some element of fearlessness, right? Because we're holding on to so many things You have to start giving it up little by little to actually start doing devotional service. Like, what will people think if I chant? What will people think? For people who've grown in the movement, the fear is something else. How will I go and get included in the society? What will people think of me? For people who are not born in the movement, they've been in the society and think they're coming into the movement and thinking, oh, what will my friends think? I've lived a different life, and now I'm trying to do something else. And okay, this element of fearlessness is definitely required. But again, it's a spectrum, right? Slowly, as we perform devotional service, we are becoming more and more fearless. Okay, it's fine. Initially, all of us are, at least I was a closet Hare Krishna. I really loved being a devotee, no, but I would never show it to the outside world that I was a devotee. I would never ever tell people that I was a Hare Krishna. But slowly, this conviction starts building up that this is who I am. I don't want to live two lives, right? When you are in your teens, you have your friends, you're doing so many things, and yet you want to do something. You really like it. It's not that you're forced to do it. You really like it, but you want to somehow get along with the group of friends that you have. But then at one point you realize, okay, this is who I am. I can't really have two lives. It's very tiring. It's really tiring to do that. And then we take our first step, that fearlessness. And then Krishna, I've seen in my life that Krishna creates this situation where it doesn't become messy for us at all. People start understanding what we're trying to do. And if people who don't understand, they are removed from our lives. It's not like in a bad way. You somehow gradually disconnect from people. But definitely, as devotees, we need to have conviction in what Krishna is saying. Ultimately, if we are also saying what the world is saying, why are we here? What are we giving to the world? When Hridayananda Maharaj was here, he was telling in the 60s and 70s, when devotees would gather, their only topic was, how can I save this world? Think about it. They were thinking, how can I save this world? For a movement that was fledgling. Now we are 50 years old. This movement is incredibly strong. We have so many temples and so many devotees. But this was a pioneering time in our movement where there were a handful of devotees, probably even 1,000 devotees, 5,000 devotees, still a very tiny number when you compare to the entire world. And these people are thinking, how can I save the world? What should I do to save the world? Right? This is what should be, and he was saying, unfortunately, it's lacking now. How many of us, when we get together, are saying, what are we doing to save the world? This is what Prabhupada's movement is. This is a preaching movement. Many different decisions. So that's time, place, and circumstance, right? But the entire idea of running this institution or being a devotee should be, how can I save this world? And when the movement began, these devotees were not Mahabhagavats. They didn't wait so that they can perfect their life before I can go and save the world. Right? Even in their very beginning stages, when they were struggling with their own devotional practices, they didn't know what they had to do. When they came and sat together, they were thinking, how can I save this world? Because that is what Prabhupada wanted. That amazing philosophy that I can save this world. No, that's not the reason why we are doing this. The reason why we are doing this is so that my spiritual master, my Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, wanted to save this world. How can I help him in this mission? That is our perspective. Not that, oh, this Krishna consciousness is the best philosophy in the world. All of you are doing something lowly. You're people. That's not, that attitude really pushes people. Right? But our attitude should be that my spiritual master really wanted this and that I should serve. So that's ultimately we'll get that fearlessness. We know so many stories. This Mataji in Africa. You remember? I forgot what the Mataji's name is. Look at it. Ladini Mataji, right? She didn't go. Rwanda, I think, right? When there was terrorism that was happening there practically, right? She was protecting the devotees and the deities, and she said she wouldn't go. She had a chance to go. She said no. Ultimately, you will come to that. We will come to that point, but it'll take some time, gradual process of fearlessness. Depends on our nishta, guru nishta, basically. How surrendered are we to the spiritual master? Thank you, Prabhu, for that point. Very nice point. Okay. After she's...
I was just thinking in connection with this and based on the point that you made at the beginning of class, how Kardamuni was given the instruction to have children. But before he did that, he went and meditated for 10,000 years.
Yes.
And I'm just seeing a very common theme whenever, like when we earlier in the third canto, when it talks about the creation of all the different elements, and when every element was created, and there were empowered personalities by the
Yes.
Supreme Lord created to manage those elements.
Yes.
Those personalities also prayed to the Lord for the ability to do what they were made to do.
Yes.
And I was just thinking along the lines of, this mission that we have, right? To how can we save the world, and how can we even serve together here as a temple and as a
Yes.
community, and how much sometimes I think I'm the person that's going to do it. I'm the doer. I'm going to be the one to make it happen. But that if we can sincerely pray to the Lord for the ability to do it, then anything's possible.
Yeah.
And that by just,
Yes.
my father, but like,
Yes.
but still before they're beginning the activity that they're given to do, they take the time to pray and ask for the blessings and the guidance of the Lord.
And when Kardama Muni was doing it, we might think of that time frame and think, I need to put in a lot of time in meditation before I can start doing things. The time scale for us is really short. They had 100,000 years, and Brahma's lifetime is trillions of years. At least Kardama Muni had 100,000 years to live. So he could meditate for 10,000 years. Our meditation, we do it daily. Every day, 2 hours of the day is our meditation to Krishna on how can I serve him. So it's not that we have to take time separately and go into this bhajananandi mode and serve, continuously chant for 10 years before I can come and serve the mission. Vaisheshika Prabhu says that we have to give our overflow. No? How we get our overflow is through our daily sadhana. And it's this complete cycle. Through our sadhana, we get this inspiration to go and preach to others. And when we preach to others, our sadhana becomes better. And when our sadhana becomes better, we go and preach to others. And it becomes better again. No? This is a constant cycle. We cannot just wait for our sadhana to become perfect, like Kardama Muni or Brahma, where they actually saw Krishna in front of their eyes before they started doing things. We don't have that time. Prabhupada said, this is the time of emergency. No? So as devotees, yes, but this is very important that we depend on Krishna. It's not that I am doing it. I completely focus on my sadhana, my morning program, my chanting. But that will empower us, because this is the system that Prabhupada gave us. He said morning program and then go out throughout the day. He didn't say, okay, first 2 years of your bhakta life, you're going to sit and meditate deeply on how you can serve the mission before you go and serve the mission. Right? Yeah, this is. And Krishna, dadami buddhi yogam tam me namam upayantite. It's Krishna says, for those who try to come to me, I give them the knowledge from within through which they can come to me. Right? This is Krishna's promise. So if you're sincerely endeavoring, the spiritual master is there externally, and Krishna is there inside as Chaitya Guru. Both of them are guiding us in how to serve them, basically. No? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Ram.
I was just echoing what Rasraj Prabhu was saying
You
about,
hold the
like,
mic a little.
you know, I was just echoing what Rasraj Prabhu was saying about, means precursor as a fearlessness should be. So in that, Prabhupada always quotes like, so kamo bhayapaha. So when we do that devotional service, or when we do Srimad Bhagavatam reading especially, so slowly we go to the soak, that is the, we get out from the lamentation from the past, what happened, whatever things happened, we get out of that.
Yeah.
No lamentation what we are doing. More, the illusion what we have now in the present, the all goes up, and bhayapaha, that is the bhaya of fearlessness, fear, what we are having that in the future coming up. So past, present, and future, all things will be eradicated by doing this services. And be precursor as a fearlessness should be there by as a form of the sraddha and the, so that we can.
Yeah. In fact, Krishna gives a drastic opinion in the Gita, right? Neha vikramana swasti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayato mahato bhair. He says, you don't need to perfect your devotional service. He says, swalpam apya, even if you do a little bit of this, trayato mahato bhayat, greatest of fear can go away. No, that is the power of devotional service. Think about if you can perfect devotional service. That's how That's how we see Prahlad Maharaj and Haridas Thakur. They've perfected devotional service and the kind of fearlessness that you can give. Even for people who have just started, Krishna is saying, you can see it takes a lot of courage to go out in the street and distribute books and chant. It's not an easy thing. Even now, people who come into the movement gladly come and do it. We jump up and down in Rath Yatra. It's not an easy thing. It takes great courage to do it. No? Swalpamapis, a little bit can give us that courage. Yes, Ramsham.
Prabhupada always used like for Vairagya.
Mm.
So one who is pretender doing that, like the Phalgu Vairagya.
Yeah.
So he's just sitting and meditating and doing that, like I'm totally renounced. So it's not actual renunciation.
Yes.
Phalgu Vairagya and the Yukta Vairagya, the one,
Yes.
which is real renunciation. Kadama Muni was doing that.
Yeah, very nice point. We can think Prabhupada gives the example of the monkey in the forest, no? So when you see externally, oh, this monkey is such a renounced person. He's living in the forest, living off of fruits that are falling off the tree. He's such a renounced person. But what is the monkey thinking internally? Constantly thinking about how can I have sex, get more children, where can I get the next fruit from? Externally speaking, monkey looks so renounced, right, by the external appearances. But that is not what devotional service is. We don't want to really give up things. And that's Falgu Vairagya, false renunciation. What we want is Yukta Vairagya. We want to connect our renunciation with Krishna. We want to use, Prabhupada would give this example of a microphone often, right? People are using this microphone for singing songs or so many different things. But we don't want to give up this microphone. Our process is that we want to use this microphone in Krishna service. That is everything Prabhupada used in Krishna service, right? This is Yukta Vairagya. But we should be little careful that it is whether really we are doing it for Krishna or we're somehow having a loophole and saying, oh, it's Yukta Vairagya. I can keep doing this and somehow enjoying for ourselves. That requires some training. That's why Guru is important. Yeah, I think we should stop. We've gone like really over time. Yes. Okay, one last thing. Can you please wait for the mic? And people are online hearing, that's why.
First of all, I want to be grateful with your your service since maybe you were born, because it's an Indian conscience, one of the Indian good conscience about faith and culture. I'm 40 years old. I want to introduce myself. I'm new here at the temple and even here in the city of Dallas. My ancestors were from Italy and Venezuela. What I've been learning this month, being here, is about even our present moment, and even when we got older, hopefully we all here long full life, no? And then after that period of our life, our spirit might remain in our loved ones that are little, coming to life in like a cycle of life, where I was raised Catholic, be honest. Also, the history of the religion of Catholic is about a person and a family that is Jesus, Mary, and Joseph in Israel. In that moment when they were living, were not really Catholic, was Jewish, because Jesus was Jewish. I must, when I split and separated from my family on 2019, I was almost 38 years old. That was the moment that I started meeting God myself. And meeting God, being in hard situations, when even the way I was raised was not like that. And what I would like to make you understand is, first of all, thank you, because I'm new here, but I really knew about meditation just with yoga, at the beginning. And I'm thinking when I meditate, my coming frequently here to the temple, I'm thinking that maybe it's one of my grandparents, because he's the one from Italy. He's the daddy of my dad. He's a doctor, and he served Venezuela in the political way before I was born. From 1974 to 1979, he was the ambassador of Venezuela in Greece. When in 1979, then in 1981, my mom and my dad married, and I'm born in 1982. What I'm gonna think, and that's what I'm thinking, that when he was in the embassy in Greece, he might get good relationships with many cultures. And he was a diplomatic way. So that means that he's respectful with every belief when we don't hurt no one. That's the situation when I got to meet in 2018. I met the ambassador of Paraguay in New Delhi. I met that, and he explained to me the problem between Pakistan and India. And then I started thinking that religion can be a situation when we don't look at that with our heart, with our feelings. When we look at like in the way that on the
It's breaking your voice, sorry.
Well, yes, I am. First of all, just thank you, and it's wonderful coming here, and my understanding might be their good relationships our ancestors did with in their environment, That's the thing I think is wonderful when we studied our Bible, family Bible, and share, and maybe they began something that we could continue.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying. So first thing I want to say is thank you for being here. We really appreciate you coming and participating. Yeah, one of the things that Krishna says is as living entities, we have five debts to repay. And one of the debt is the debt for our ancestors, because we wouldn't be here without our ancestors, right? Because of them, because of the lineages why we are actually here in this world. So this debt is very important. But this entire practice that we are following of Krishna consciousness is explained as that of watering the root of the tree. We have so many debts for so many people. We have debt for the society. We get so many things from the society. We get so many things from our parents. We get so many things from our teachers. We get so many things from nature itself, right? Like that, we should be very grateful for each and every one of us. That the gratefulness is a definite essential aspect. But it's very difficult because we are very tiny and we have finite time to go and start paying our gratitude to everybody individually. So just like how we water the root of the tree, right? That's the best way to water the tree. You can go and try to water every single leaf in a tree, but it's going to take you a very long time. But if you water the root of the tree, then the entire tree is nourished. Yeah? So like that, our entire process is that we're very grateful for each and everybody in our lives. But the way we show gratitude, of course, is primarily by showing gratitude to the Creator, to the God who created all of us. And when He is satisfied, everybody else is naturally satisfied. And that is the perfect way of showing gratitude to everybody. And of course, when we meet people, we are very grateful for everybody in our life. So it's not that we forget everybody. So the first thing I want to say is thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate you being here. And one of the qualities of a devotee is humility. And you basically show through your speech and character so much of it. So thank you very much for giving us your association. And please come participate. Let us know how we can help you. After we can speak after this. Yeah. I think we should stop here. We should really over time. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।